My name is Luzene Hill. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Eastern Band Cherokee. My name in Cherokee is Luzene Hill. Innate is the title of my work, and it deals with the issue of violence against women, especially violence against Native women. And since 2009, I've been dealing with the device of material volume, which I use to present visual material numbers because I feel that it has a larger impact. And using that to present the numbers and stats about Native women. The outer cape in this exhibition is made up of 6,956 cut silk figures. 6,956 is the average number of Native American women who are sexually assaulted each year. And only 16% of assaults are ever reported. So it's just a tiny portion, and we don't have a way of knowing what the real number is. This cape is made of those figures that are based on a goddess figure that's one of the earliest images of women from the coastal area of Ecuador, and it has been dyed with cochineal. Over the past few years, I have been researching early indigenous culture. I worked with the quipu quite a bit for a couple of years, the Inca quipu knotted accounting system as a device. And while I was continuing my research last summer with the quipu, I came across mention of cochineal. And I only knew that it was a color and maybe a dye. I didn't know anything about it. And when I started looking at it, I learned so much about how significant it was to the history of Native people, because it was used for millennium for painting and for dyeing textiles that were for sacred ceremonies generally. When the Spanish came into the Americas, the cochineal was so much more intense, the color, than anything that was they had in Europe that was from plant-based colors, that it was hoarded and exported to Spain. The cochineal color comes from tiny bugs, insects, and the color is in the female bug. It's carminic acid that is a deterrent against predators. So when I learned about the impact of Spanish colonialism, which expands to almost everything in the Americas, to the people, to the land, to the plants, and then the fact that the bugs it was a protection for females, I felt as though that had to be what I used. And that's why it's giving protection and it's giving strength to my work and to the women that are represented here. The 6,956 individual goddess figures I grouped together in clusters of 3 because Native women are 3 times more likely to be assaulted than other women in the United States, and 90% of the assaults are by non-Native men. And that's an anomaly in terms of ethnic interaction, and it's unique. The inner cape is also dyed with cochineal. It's made of silk organza. And the outer cape presents the numbers to draw attention and provoke dialogue and to inform. It also serves as a metaphor for Native women having power and having protection. The inner cape is the remaining protection that is here in the gallery, and it is metaphorically for everyone to absorb. And then the third component are the cochineal, which I use, the bugs that I use to dye the silk. The action is something new for me as an artist. I've done a little bit, but it was more ritual in a previous work. All of the work draws on very early indigenous culture in the Americas, and the early female images, the cochineal, and common in Native mythology are shapeshifters. And so my action is shape-shifting an amorphous mass of material, which the outer cape is. It covers me, and it's not moving, and then I animate it from within. I bring it to life, not disclosing that I'm under it, and then it gradually rises up and moves, and I'm speaking of it as its own separate thing, which it has become for me. And then I become not that mass and not amorphous, but I become representative of a woman covered with the cape and covered with the protection and being empowered by the collection of women, each of whom is a survivor, and she is now imbued with cochineal protection, and she is now a goddess image, and she is powerful. The outer cape lifts off me, and then I emerge from the outer cape with a feeling of strength and empowerment. I move and I discover what that feels like and gain strength as I'm moving across the gallery, headed back somewhat toward where the cape had come from, but then I see this area that is just white infinity for me, and know that that's where I want to go, because I know I can do it and I can just move into it. And I do that, and then I disappear, but the cape and the power and the protection stays here. Sexual assault is shrouded in silence by society and by survivors, because it's a very personal violation. And I want to provoke dialogue and conversation, because until that happens, then it's not going to decrease. Silence of society about that issue gives consent to continue, and that's why I do the work. It was important for Brenda and I to have the titles of our work translated into the Cherokee syllabary. Cherokee language is an endangered language, and just visually having it up is just having it out there, just having it in the universe and having people look at it and maybe question what it is, maybe find out more about it. And it's amazing, it's very interesting. I wish that I spoke it other than my name.